This image is a standoff between protesters and police, but these are not regular protesters, these are sovereign citizens. And you can tell because it says common law sheriff on the shirt. So, what does that mean? Basically, sovereign citizens are people who don't believe that the law is real unless they personally agree with it, and they defend their, right to not pay rates or, not have a driver's license when they drive by simply asserting that they are sovereign citizens and that they are upholding a higher jurisdiction of common law. The thing is that common law is actually a real thing. It is a real part of Australia's legal system, and it has absolutely nothing to do with what sovereign citizens think it is. Sovereign citizens engage in what's called pseudo-law arguments, which is basically a nice way of saying things that they just made up. They use real legal terms with entirely fictional definitions, which causes some serious conflict when they inevitably get arrested for, some kind of crime that they don't think applies to them, and then they go to court and use a series of just incomprehensible nonsense terms to defend their actions, and then when they lose, inevitably, they claim that the courts are corrupt. Okay, but what is common law and why are there sheriffs for it? Now, if you were to imagine a hierarchy of different types of law, you would not put common law at the very top as some, you know, higher jurisdiction that overrides everything else. You'd put it more at the bottom. See, common law is court-made law, right? When a judge makes a decision on a court case that can set a precedent to be referenced by future judges. If no statute applies to the particulars of a specific case, then a judge may rely on common law to guide their decision. But statutes override common law. Then at the very top, right, is the Constitution, which decides what statutes Parliament can actually legally make. So, Constitution at the top decides what other statutes Parliament has the legal power to make, and then the courts interpret and apply how that works, but also if there isn't a statute that applies to a particular case, then they can rely on common law. But if there is anything else above it, it overrides it, right? So the irony is, a common law sheriff is a person who actually doesn't like the existence of common law. They're not upholding it, they're upholding a fictional version in their mind that has nothing to do with common law. They don't like judges, they don't like courts, because they tell them, hey, you did break the law, and they go, no, I didn't, because I didn't personally sign a contract. So if someone says that they are a common law sheriff, that's not a real position. Don't trust their legal opinion. In fact, generally don't get your legal advice from Facebook groups in general. And be wary, just because people use a bunch of legal terms does not mean they actually understand them. Be very, very wary of the conspiracies of common law sheriffs.